Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to some of you. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to Bridge Walkers, place for your cosmic wisdom and all of the wonderful things that we bring to you. We are so happy to be here. Once again, we get to gather together as Bridge Walkers, walking with each other over those bridges of life. And we're just thrilled to death to be here. We're so happy for all of you who are here. I'm going to go ahead and put the chat up for those of you that love to join us in the chat. And we're going to start with a nice little prayer, and then I'm going to do bios. I finally got everybody to give us a bio so you guys can know a little bit about who you're dealing with here. And we thought it would be fun to put our bios up there. I have it also, those of you that are watching on YouTube, they're also down below so that you can um, contact any of us. Rev Ned has his own YouTube channel. I have, this is on my YouTube channel, but we're on different places around, and you may want to connect with us, and we certainly welcome that. But I do want to start with a prayer and just gathering our hearts together. And today we're talking about suffering. So we want to bring in peace and harmony and love as we're doing this. So let's all take a beautiful breath together, breathing in life and breathing out life. And I just invite each of you to just bring your awareness into your heart chakra, into that portal of your sacred and precious soul. Know that everything that I speak for the all, for each and every one of you as it serves your highest good. And we begin with, Beloved, I am. Holy presence within all of life, be within our awareness now. And as we draw our attention, our focus into the holy presence, we connect to that primordial energy consciousness that is the source of all. And then we're allowed to take that substance, that primordial energy that is delicious and fertile, abundant, endless. It's primordial consciousness. And with that, we begin to create our reality. And we act with our full authority as God eternally present. And we create. Beloved presence of love, we look within ourselves for your loving essence to guide and nurture our path and our focus. Help us to be creators who bless all of creation with positive and abundant peace and joy, good health, wealth, balance, and harmony, and that we be true to our own hearts. Beloved presence of joy, bless each of us with a joyful heart to guide us and keep us safe from the pitfalls of depression and anxiety, of anger, fear, selfishness, cruelty, lust, gluttony, guilt, shame, and grief that these frequencies touch our soul with. Joy keeps us from falling into pain. Beloved presence of joy, be with us. And beloved presence of suffering, be quick about your lessons and remember that I am that I am, the child of creation, the creation of God, and the holy essence of life. I am not here to suffer, but to learn. I am not here to linger on the cross, but to learn, forgive, love, and move on. We honor your part in the cycle of helping us to come home to pure love. Beloved Holy Self, thank you for being present in this journey of life. Thank you for remembering who we are as one with the divine. Thank you for remembering how loved and cared for we are. And thank you for allowing each of us to release the suffering at the moment of our awareness and to return to the peace that is our divine nature. And we just say, Beloved, I am beloved. And we just take that breath in and just allow ourselves to allow the holiness that we are to begin to permeate all that we do here today, because we're going to be speaking about suffering, and we want to make sure that love is a big part of that. So we just say thank you. And then let's take this moment. I want to read to you about these amazing gentlemen that I get to share this show with, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself too. So let's start with good old Rev Ned. Rev, the old hermit on the hill, has taught on pure love for over 41 years. He has been part of the Lakota ceremonies for 3 decades and has facilitated earth ceremonies for a very long time. He managed international graduate housing programs for over 3 decades, meeting beautiful souls from 177 countries. His near death experience in 2018 was Rev's entrance into the World Wide Web, which expanded his sharing on pure love. In 2021, he had a stroke that was a huge transformer for sharing more in depth on pure love after a higher visitor spent time with him in his 13th day in hospital stay. Rev believes every breath and every step is sacred. And Rev teaches that we are eternal beings with cosmic purposes and potentials. Wow, what a great bio. Oh, let's just take in a little bit of the Rev. That's why I thought this was so important. We've been doing this show for a really long time, and not everybody knows us. And there's some true beautiful hearts here. So I wanted to do this. So Dana's an interesting character here on the show, and Dana's had alternative OBE experiences since he was around 2 years old and has been searching for the secrets and meanings of life ever since. He found his way back to original native ceremonies after a tree accident, and he has been a student of that sacred tree ever since. He holds no certificates other than personal experience and is grateful to be a sacred mutt for spirit direct. I love that. His voice carries the sacredness of tree spirit, and with every good intention agreed upon. His purpose is to help be an example for others in that way so that they can do the same for others and so much more for our best futures. That's a beautiful bio. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Thank you. Such beauty in both of your hearts and your souls. It's such an honor to be here with you. And then my bio, just real quick. I've been spiritually minded since childhood, and I knew that love was important and used to write poetry about it constantly. And so, what I'm gonna read this as a bio. Michelle has been spiritually minded since childhood. She knew that love was important and wrote poetry about it constantly. She was very intuitive and saw angels and other interdimensional beings. She had a visitation from her extraterrestrial family at the age of 4, but didn't remember it until she was in her 30s and read the book Contact by Carl Sagan, at which point her memories of extraterrestrial encounters returned. In the late 1990s, Michelle began her studies in spirituality and psychic and mediumship development and has been an avid student of energy healing, consciousness, and spirituality ever since. She's been working as an intuitive guide, spiritual coach, energy healer, hypnotherapist, metaphysical therapist, and spiritual teacher for over 2 decades. She designs international inspirational coloring books for children and adults, and has a weekly coloring program. Michelle has participated in many Native American ceremonies where she reconnected to the sacred energies of Mother Earth and had a near death experience in 2011 and has been a bridge walker to self healing ever since. And her purpose and passion is to be a guide for New Earth future for all who are ready to reach beyond the limitations of this matrix and become creators of their own reality by focusing on the inner experience, inner wisdom, and inner light that is God the Creator. And I will always remind you, love yourself because that's where God is. So in our down below, here we have uh, connections, websites, and Rev Ned's link to his YouTube channel and everything too. So you guys can stay in touch with us individually and together. So now comes the fun part. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I just, it's so important that you get to know a little bit more of what we're doing here because these gentlemen are just, they're so special. I just can't say enough. And so it's super good. So, Rev, you have a video for us, and
Well,
I know
first,
you have it placed in a special place. So tell us a little bit about it.
well, first, I really enjoyed. Is there an echo coming through?
Nope,
Good.
sounds good on this end.
Um, those bios. It's like next week. I'm just going to watch these three people, the guyette and the two guys and the the guyette Dana, all right, and the femaleette Michelle, and that whatchamacallit they call Rev Ned. Yeah, I think I'll just watch it next week. That was pretty good. I like that stuff. Thank you, Michelle.
We're kind of interesting.
I am. The wife and I, she's always supportive of getting us to the bridge and carrying the equipment. But we did this on campus at the local university where I worked for 33 years. And the students graduated this past weekend. So when they leave town, it's like, yes, whew, they're gone. It's a whole different energy. You know, when I did it for so many years, when they leave. But this is a little footbridge that goes over a path. The water was amazing. There's a little waterfall. I don't know if the directional mic picked it up. I couldn't hear it when I replayed it. I always replay it before we leave. It's a little longer than normal, but the energies there were phenomenal. The water people, the birds. I think on a couple, you can hear these really loud birds. There was a fountain maybe 25 feet off that was throwing water around. But the energy for the ant people were calling on the computer and on the table. They were wanting to get. I should have put them on the camera, but it was just, it was grounded there on the earth, my feet on the earth, and I had the nice shot of the bridge, and it was. I really didn't want to leave. I'm surprised it wasn't any longer, but it's. See if you can experience energies, experience them. If you can see them with your spiritual eyes or with your physical eyes, because there was lots of wonderful energies there in this video about suffering.
All right, let's go ahead and take that in and just allow that to become our experience. So I invite all of you guys. I'm going to go ahead and click us down and start that video up right now.
Thank you, Skyfuls, for being with us here on Bridgewalkers. You are one incredible being of the mystical more. Our program is entitled Suffering. Are you doing it right? Suffering, a 9-letter word that is packed full of all kinds of energies for each one of us. We are here by the formal gardens at the local university. The National Library of Medicine article reads, quote, "The words pain and suffering are often used interchangeably. For example, definitions of pain in the dictionary includes bodily suffering, mental, emotional suffering, or distress, and suffering is defined as the bearing of pain or distress. It is understandable that these words are intertwined. However, there are distinctions. Pain is a physical sensation or a signal indicating an event within the body. Suffering is the interpretation of that event and involves our thoughts and our beliefs, our judgments, and our reflection of the human experience of pain," end of quote. Those words are very defining for us. They are saying suffering is very connected to our thoughts and beliefs and our judgments, and we can add socialized programming about pain and suffering into this mix. Here's another quote that gives the words I just shared with you more meaning and direction for us. This is a quote from someone called Buddha. You may have heard of him. He was a wandering ascetic teacher who lived in South Asia during the 6th or 5th century BCE, probably along distant cousins. Quote, "There are two kinds of suffering, the suffering which leads to more suffering, and the suffering which leads to the end of suffering." End of quote. Suffering which leads to the end of suffering? Very, very interesting. Does suffering have a purpose? Can we reduce the energies of suffering? Do our heart thoughts and head thoughts affect and infect our sufferings? Some suffering comes from beyond our being, but much suffering comes from within us. Have we been socialized of what suffering is, and these societal energies at least keep us in a limited, continuing box of suffering? So Rev looks and ponders when pain comes my way, and looks and ponder when I'm suffering. I understand much of my suffering through my 70 plus years came from how I handled the pain and suffering. Many teach that we said yes to coming here to earth this time around, and we said yes to many relationships and hardships and challenges that create pain and suffering for us. They're here so we can expand. And if this is an eternal truth, it's substantial to our understanding of our suffering. Chronic Lyme disease, I have walked with for 11 years now, has brought much pain and suffering to Rev. How has Rev reduced the suffering of this disease in my life? It's a great question. 11 years ago, my natural doctor who discovered that I had chronic Lyme disease told Rev that I should not be walking, but should be living in a bed or chair. He knew my life of meditation and doing releasing ceremonies and doing ceremonies for purifying much of the suffering of Lyme disease. There are those precious souls who abuse their suffering and wallow in their suffering to get attention or believe this is how it would be the rest of their life. Some use suffering as their life force, if you will. You see, amazing ones, we have access and control of our thoughts, our beliefs, and our judgment. Rev has managed much of the suffering of this disease, and this opened the portal doors to learn from the suffering of Lyme disease. This Lyme disease suffering became a great teacher for me about who I am and who and how to become the authentic Rev that I need to be, that I came here for. In other words, chronic Lyme disease was like an elder, a great teacher for Rev. Through many of my life experiences, I utilized thinking and pondering how to maneuver through suffering. One of the most incredible, true stories of moving through pain and suffering Rev has heard and read about is Immaculée from Rwanda, who is a Tutsi ethnically. The Rwanda Holocaust that occurred on April 6, 1994, saw two ethnic groups involved. The Hutus, approximately 85%, and the Tutsis, 14% of the population. In 91 days, close to 1 million Tutsis were slaughtered, most cut, hacked to death by the Hutus. These were neighbors and folks who were seated next to one another in church or at work. Immaculee's father and mother and two brothers were slaughtered. A Hutu pastor quickly sheltered Immaculee and 7 other women in a hidden 3x4 bathroom for the next 91 days. Immaculee and the other women huddled silently in this small room while the genocide raged outside the home and throughout the country, many times with the bloodthirsty killers out in the yard of this pastor. Immaculee is one of the beautiful examples how of unwrapping such horrific pain and anger and resentment and super suffering. Yes, it took much inner work for her to become a being of pure love wrapped in total forgiveness, but she did it. Her traveling through this pain and hate and resentment and suffering has brought the world high energies of love and radical forgiveness through her books and retreats and speaking all over the world. Working and going through our head thoughts and our mind thoughts of suffering is our right and our responsibility to traverse through. The gifts of pondering and thinking and working through the suffering with our head thoughts and heart thoughts and inner essence are powerful energies to being transformed not only in our own lives, but the ripple effect we cause out into the cosmos. One of the keys of transformation and moving into pure love and tranquility for Rev is the mindfulness of the present moment, which is all we really have. So much of our suffering is from the past that we have not dealt with. Remember, Buddha taught one type of suffering leads to ending, squelching suffering. Each one of us go through suffering in our life, some more than others. Another key for Rev is seeing the much bigger picture of who we really are, not what the culture dictates, but an eternal awareness of who we truly are. Here's a personal experience that I will close with that happened with my neurologist last summer. There's been suffering with the chronic Lyme disease, as I mentioned, that has brought nerve damage and neuropathy that doctors helped me through, as did with my stroke I had in 2021. Rev took and still takes the effort to ponder and think and reduce the suffering by changing, transforming my thoughts in my heart and in my head. Sitting in our patient room with the wife and I, we were towards the end of the appointment. Doc looked at her watch, which I don't wear one, looked at the door, and she had more patients out there to see that day. And then she looked at the wife and I and she said to us, I don't know what to go back out there because you two are so calm and tranquil. What powerful words. If Red did not go through the journey of reducing the suffering of these health issues, the energies of Rev would be totally different, leaning into the negative side of the spin-offs of suffering. We are powerful beings, and we can change our heart thoughts and our head thoughts. We can make a difference in our own life path that we journey on. Another teaching from the Buddha goes something like this. There are two arrows. The first arrow that hits us is like an unexpected event, situation, illness, or etc. Causes great pain and hardship. Yes, it hurts. It's painful. The second arrow is our own reaction to this pain and hardship. The second arrow's name is suffering that we shoot. The teaching is that pain and hardship are unavoidable for us all. However, suffering is a choice. Our relationship to pain and hardship are what to a great extent influences our suffering. So the second arrow is our reaction to the first arrow. Be touched with this Bridgewalker program on suffering. Marvelous Michelle has her wonderful wisdom to share, and Dana Sparkle has a song and the deep more for you, and Rev will be in these delightful blend of cosmic energy somewhere. Thank you for being here with us. You are an eternal mystical wonder. There's so much more for each one of you. Let us go bridge walking together. Yes, you are a precious gift.
Oh, hey, you're the star of the show there, mister.
That guy's a little different, isn't he?
Oh, man, what is going on?
Dana, come back. Dana.
Isn't this weird? You know what? Every time I turn around, they change something here. Edit name. Oh, I can change your name.
And when people start talking, I think it sometimes it pulls them up.
But I don't have it set up that way now.
That's good enough.
Oh, it's not. The women. There we go. Hello.
Hello. I'm glad everybody's here. It's awesome. It's awesome to
Here
be
you
with you all.
again. Welcome, everybody. We got the Kevinator and Sam and Lamar. And we have Karen was up here earlier. We just so happy you guys are here and popped in to share our little space of love here with you. And Kevin calls you. I gotta show this. He says, Rev Ned, the love bringer.
Oh, thank
That's
you,
so
sir.
cool. Thank you. What a great thing. And Kev also sent us this message as well. Love to the Bridgewalkers and love back to you for
Yes, yeah, yeah.
sure. And Lamar, he's in here. I'm gonna let everybody see how much love our own beautiful people are that are here. Oh, well, hi, Sam. I didn't see that message. Get my own personal message. Yeehaw. Very cool, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
Yes, yes.
everybody. Hello,
Yeah,
hello.
whoops. Okay, I am spazzing out today. I don't know what my dealio is. So, this topic of suffering, Rev, that video was amazing. And I have to ask you, did you have music playing in the video? Did you put music in there?
Well, I
Or was
spent a lot. Yeah, yes, I did. I do that at the time of the recording, and it'll change depending on the wind because I'm using a nice Bluetooth speaker, and um, somebody I met at a powwow that created that music. Um, and it's very very nice. And I think you heard the birds a couple times. I
mm-hmm.
mean, they were like right here. That's why the mic picked them up real good. They were once you saw me look up, they were like flying through there. And I use it and I try to get the right amount of sound on the microphone because this I use a lapel mic when I'm out there, and I have this mic that I use. But I love his music. I love his music.
It was beautiful because it was interesting. It seemed like, because I could hear, I felt like I could hear a little bit of water. I could hear the birds. What a beautiful setting. That was so beautiful. And then all of a sudden, when you were talking and you were talking about something that was, there was passion in it, right? And you're bringing this wonderful energy, and all of a sudden I realized there's this beautiful music going on, and I just went, is this magic happening? Or it was like the timing of it and everything was so cool. And then it kind of just went away, and I heard the birds again, and I thought, did I just have a mystical experience, or was there actually music there? It was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. There was a couple flashes of light that I even saw on the replay here, but creating these is such a blessing. It really is. Most of these bridges are near us. They're not far. There's because of where we live, and it's a complete joy. Like I said, I was sitting. I didn't want to leave. We could have still been watching this video, but we had an appointment to meet the grandkids and our Hannah at the ice cream parlor.
Ooh, ice cream. Ice cream, ice cream. Well, that was beautiful. And just for our peeps to know, Rev Ned goes out and does these beautiful videos for us every single month and puts so much of his heart and soul into it. And it just, every single one is a cinematic journey, and a journey of just the heart and the soul. And I just love them. I
A lot of
just love
hours, lot of hours of love.
them.
Each one of them.
Yeah, and when I was thinking about the music too, I'm like, oh my gosh, is he doing the videos, doing the prep, doing the videos, getting out there recording it, and putting music underneath it in editing too? I'm like, these things must take him 5 days.
There's a four-letter word:
Love.
WIFE.
Oh,
She's the wind under my wings and helping to
love.
carry the equipment and all the things we need, the table, the chair. I have a big computer bag with adapters and mics and all that kind of thing. But it's a joy. It is a joy. And like I said, I was so peaceful there before I started. I lay tobacco. I keep tobacco. I lay tobacco down before I start. And, um, it's a joy. Some say it's a labor of love, but I love it. And love being with my wife too.
Well, we want to give a shout out to Diane and all that she does for the Bridgewalkers team and for
Yeah, thank
all
you.
of you guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Those beautiful people and Dana's wife too. She supports what we're doing here and it's wonderful. So we were super appreciate it.
You know what, Michelle?
What, my darling?
She really loves Sparkle Ruse. I can tell.
Well, I think she does.
I'm a lucky man.
What's not to love?
I'm a very lucky man.
Oh, it's so good. And it's interesting how I'm noticing how the energy today and the energy of the show already is just starting out in this beautiful light, love filled energy. And it's neat because we're talking about a subject that can be icky and bad and negative. And yet, when we were talking about it and preparing for the show and talking about what we're going to do, we go into these deep conversations that go all over the place. And yet, we wanted to make sure that we really talked about the pain and the suffering and all that stuff because it's important and we all go through it. But also to share some perceptions that we have had, and I'm sure those of you that are watching have had too, that suffering is it's not the goal. It's not the goal. Like pain and suffering are perceptions. They're triggered by what we think, right? And so you could have five different people have the same exact experience and yet have completely different experiences of it. And it's all based in what their background, what their belief system, what their programming. We all get programmed. This third dimensional matrix is a matrix of programming. We are programmed. It's a program and we're in it. And it's interesting because a lot of times it feels like we're unable to control what's going on in our life. And some of the program we get is that you're not. We're put through our paces with obey the authority, do as you're told. We get into school, learn it, regurgitate. This is what you do. And as we move through life and get older, we get really kind of I think about cattle, when they get all the cattle and they bring them in where they got to go one at a time. And we get kind of like that in our lives. And we begin to feel like we don't have control and we don't have the ability to move beyond the pain and suffering. And anybody who's watching this show, you're a sensitive individual. You're being called to be here because you're an extra sensitive person. You're a little more connected to your soul than a lot of people are. And you have suffered, you have had pain, but we really want to talk about how suffering has a purpose. There is a purpose for it. It's not the goal. There's a purpose in it. And the main purpose really is that it compels us to change. Now there's a lot that goes on in suffering a lot of times before we get to that point. But it brings awareness to those things that don't serve us anymore, right? It begins to get uncomfortable. It begins to get icky. Things begin to change. People start behaving poorly. We start realizing, I've been married to this guy for 10 years and all of a sudden I don't like him very well. Behaviors change. You have a job and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I used to love this and I don't want to do this anymore. And it gets uncomfortable and begin to have pain. We begin to have experiences, begin to suffer for that. And it also helps us to take notice that our soul, our center, our beingness is part of a God matrix, if you will, that is of love. We are created in love. We are created for love. Our matrix is love, and yet we're put into this matrix of programming. And sometimes this matrix just brings all kinds of good stuff, right? But a lot of times it brings us stuff that we don't like. And we have to remember that we do have the ability to break out of that matrix. Our A big part of pain and suffering is to bring us back to the God center. And I'm using the word God in a big way, guys. I'm not talking religion. I'm not talking about any particular thing. I'm talking about God, creator, source, the all that is, universe, whatever words, whatever your understanding is. But we have this God matrix that is our center. And I believe and I teach that the purpose of this whole experience thing is to get back to that, to find our way back to God, as some people call it. And the thing is sometimes it has to get really, really bad before we step outside that field of pain and decide that something changes. And you know, some people live their whole life. They live lives after lives in pain. We see a lot of generational stuff. We see it within cultures and different like nationalities and stuff that cling to the pain, you know, generation after generation after generation after generation. And there comes a time when it's time to step out of the pain and the suffering. And we see it with all of them, all the different nationalities, the different cultures. We all have our suffering, right? We all have our suffering thing. I've got a lot of Scottish in me, you know, and you never hear a Scotsman not whining about something, right? And I have a lot of Native American in me, and a lot of the Native American cultures are have clung to what was done to them, you know, starting in like the 1400s and for up to today, you know, and a lot of them can't let go of that pain and that suffering that our ancestry and our lineage has gone through, you know, and we see, you know, the blacks, the Mexicans, South Americans, you know, we see the Jewish cultures, we see the Middle East, you know, and we're clinging. Putin talked about that with Tucker Carlson about, you know, oh, why are we doing this? Well, 15,000 years ago, you know, we went way back and told the history, and I remember thinking we need to let go of this stuff now. We need to let go because we are not living in our God selves together here as God beings in this planet, on this planet, in this matrix, because so much of the experiences here are still in that suffering. Um, but it's interesting because all the great masters tell us that we don't have to suffer. We're not supposed to be suffering. You may feel pain, but you don't have to suffer. It's like suffering takes it to the next level. Um, and the great masters also tell us that suffering is related to our perceptions, right? And so we really need to start paying attention to what is going on in our mind, in our stories. Something that we do through living is we begin to have experiences and then we begin to create stories around those experiences. And those stories that we create are these things that become triggers, especially when they're negative, right? And they can be happy triggers too. But we begin to create these stories, we begin to create these our own little matrices, right? Of what happened, why it happened, how it's their fault, how it's my fault, how this came to be. And we get these stories and they get anchored in our nervous system, they get anchored in our body, they sometimes become disease. Where we are stuck with these stories, we're stuck with this information, and then we become limited, and then we stop growing. We stop growing as spiritual beings. We stop growing as God beings. We were not created to stay stuck in the suffering. And that's part of the reason I use the specific terms in my prayer. We are not supposed to linger on the cross. You know, most of us understand what that means, right? We're not supposed to be hanging on that cross our entire lives. We're supposed to learn, we're supposed to forgive, we're supposed to love, we're supposed to move on. And we're supposed to learn to love ourselves too and to honor ourselves. And so we want to remember that suffering is a perception. We suffer because of perceptions, and perceptions are thoughts and beliefs. And those are things of the mind. And you have control over your mind of what you think, of what you see, of what you feed your mind on. You have control of that. And a lot of people don't realize that because we're not told that in the matrix, right? We're not told that. We're not said, hey, you're a powerful, free thinking beast. Get out there and create. It's like, oh no, you serve this agenda, right? But we're breaking out of that. And it's so important that we realize that we can control the functioning of our minds. And when we give ourselves permission to even acknowledge that, it begins to change and shift, right? Just the thought, and I do this all the time with my students, what if that's true? That we can change it all by changing our perceptions, what we're thinking, what if that's true? What does that mean? How does that change everything? If just that one little thing is true, right? Because past experiences might influence how we think about these things, but with self awareness, with meditation, with patience, we can allow ourselves to begin to be aware of, to be mindful of the evidence of pain or suffering. Because it's like, yeah, there it is, but we don't have to become it. And that's a huge concept. This is a huge key because a lot of times the pain and suffering is pretty intense. And we literally become the pain and suffering. And that's when the ego pops in. Boop. But when we step out of that and we begin to realize it's just a story, it's just a matrix that we created, it's just a perception. And I have, and personally, and Rev Ned was talking about it too, and I know Dana's had experiences where we've had intense physical pain for chronic type pain for long periods of time. But you can think yourself away from pain too, even though it's a visceral, in the body, holy crap, I cannot deny the pain in my body right now. But with shifting the story in the head, allowing the mind to realize that this is just a thought and a perception, that this can change, I have control over that, you can manage and or get rid of the pain that you're feeling in your physical body. And those of you who would take that step out there to play with this concept, you're going to begin to realize what masterful, powerful beings you are because you can stop pain. You can stop anything that you don't like because it's just a perception. It's just an agreed upon. You have been in compliance with your pain. You have complied to the suffering, and we don't need to. So, one of the things Eckhart Tolle talks about becoming right what you don't want to be, and it's the stepping back and observing, allowing yourself to feel what you feel, but just observing it instead of deciding it's this or it's that or it's because of this, the story, right? Um, so we have to make sure. I'm going to read this too. I wrote this. Stepping outside of the experiences to observe what is happening without becoming the experience allows us to minimize the suffering and to move more quickly to the purpose of suffering, which is learning to not be what is not in alignment with our divine selves and start learning to be what is in alignment with our divine selves and recognizing what is good for us, what is beneficial to us, right? What it is we do want. Because a lot of times we live our lives in, oh, I don't want that. Well, more of that keeps coming because your brain's thinking on it, right? And it becomes a process of doing that. So I wrote down a few things because I'm actually working on, I've got a program right now, it's called Neuro Bliss. And it's actually helping people to get out of stress and trauma and getting it out of the nervous system. And I tell them too, it's like, so what do we do? How do we start with this? And I always say, well, for starters, slow the F down. Slow down. Take a breath. Slow down. Smell the roses. Stop running. Start playing calming music around you. Stop spending so much time in these virtual realities that we have that are called phones and computers and TVs and all that kind of stuff. Get out in nature. Go hug a tree. Get into some natural frequencies. That's huge. That's part of the blessing of Rev's videos is we all get to sit here and marinate in this beautiful energy that he's bringing in from sitting outside and doing these beautiful videos. And nothing is learn to meditate. And I know everybody who's watching this video already meditates daily, right? But learn to breathe properly. Most of us don't breathe. We have short breaths because we live in the chronically stressed kind of thing. Learn to breathe. Take a breath. Just breathe in and relax and feel your body. We have to learn to feel again. Feel your feelings. Trust that they are just feelings. They're just feelings. They're transient. They change. Start paying attention to how you feel throughout the day. Be mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful of your feelings in your body. You, most of us don't listen to the feelings in our body, mainly because we're sensitive and we've been barraged with stuff, and we're like, I can't feel this right now. Most of the people watching this are what would be termed an empath, where you feel it and you feel it on a lot of different ways. Well, having that gift, that experience of empath, being an empath, it's a superpower. It is what allows you to navigate in this crazy system and for your tentacles to reach out into that divine frequency, to find those frequencies that work for you, that are your frequencies, that match your inner landscape. So let your empath freak flag fly. Start listening and feeling your body again. And be mindful of the stories that you tell yourself about who you are, who other people are, what happened in that incident. And I'm going to tell you a story about what I did one time. And I've told it before on the show, but I'm going to do it again. My mom and I were best friends and butt heads all the time. We were both really strong women, but we were very loving women. We loved each other dearly, but it would just. So one day, I'm blow drying my hair because I'm getting ready to go to mom's, and I'm blow drying and I'm doing the hair thing. And so I'm in kind of a meditative state. And all of a sudden, I realize that in that state of kind of my mind getting to wander, my mind is wandering to fighting with my mom. And how, as soon as I get over there, she's going to say that she thinks I need to cut my hair. And right? And I'm creating this whole story, this whole scenario in my head from past experiences. Not always. She loves me dearly. But these I'm creating these stories, and I'm creating the story, and I'm also creating a story that I'm putting into the future for me to get to experience. And I caught myself and I went, I don't want to do that. So I decided I'm going to create a wonderful story. So I changed that story. I changed what I was thinking. I was thinking that I'm going to get to my mom's. She's going to be so happy to see me, and she will have bought me a present. And we're going to sit on the patio and we're going to talk and we're going to have a glass of wine. And it's going to be amazing. And we're just going to feel so close and so wonderful. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened. I got there and she's like, Shelly, I bought you this sweetest little thing. And she bought me this cute little crystal, this little Swarovski crystal figurine that I collect. I used to collect more, and they're expensive now. But she bought me. She even bought me a gift. We sat outside. We didn't drink wine. It was a little too early. But, and we just hung out and we had a great afternoon. I changed my story. I changed the story about the past. I changed the story of what I was experiencing. And I changed the story, directing it into the future. I changed it. And I remember my mom going, wow, this was amazing. It's like, I know. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I am all powerful. I did that, but we did. And we all do this. This is who we are. So start changing your stories, guys. Past, present, and future. Create some new stories. What do you want? How do you want to be? How do you want to feel? What do you want to do? It really always comes back to this. It always comes back to this. You guys are beautiful, amazing, powerful creator beings. You are the essence of God, the creator, the primordial ooze from which all things come. You're beautiful.
Michelle?
sir.
Well, while you were sharing with us, and I found this quote by Thich Nhat Hanh, which I thought of the Kevinator, Engage Reiki, but it goes well with what you're sharing, because we know now that our hearts sends more energies to our brain than our brain does to our heart. But this is his. This is an incredible quote that goes along with everything you said. Quote: "If your heart is small, one unjust word or act will make you suffer. But if your heart is large, if you have understanding and compassion, that word or deed will not have the power to make you suffer." End of quote.
Yeah,
That's very powerful.
that's
Just
beautiful.
it goes along with everything that you
Yeah.
just beautifully shared with us. That was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It is. It's loving self, right? It's having that love frequency. It's being aligned with that and allowing it to be your focus, right? And
Yes.
that is not to take away at all from the sacredness of suffering. Suffering is sacred, but don't stay there. There's a lot more other good sacred stuff, like
This is
floating
good.
in a pristine lake, or hugging a tree or cuddling with kittens. I want Dana to bring the kittens out.
Yeah,
I was going to
perpetual.
send you a text. Well, the video was going. I was going to go. We need kittens. We need kittens. Dana's got these cutest little kittens.
I do, and one's napping with her sister right now, and I could grab her. She's a little cutie, but I want to let her nap so she can let us finish this podcast in peacefulness because she's a little crazy thing. We have there's a mom that drops by our barn every 6 9 months, whatever that gestation cycle is, and drops litters there, and we just she when we don't see her for a while, and there's less, like, we'll start taking them in, and we're on our second round of that. So we've acquired four more, with two from the last litter she had, trying to take some load off. Because because the Ma's a stray. We don't, she doesn't come to us. She doesn't, like, she just wants a peaceful place to have her babies, and I appreciate that. And we found the first set was in a sheep stall, and then this second set was under some hay bales, some cow hay bales that were tarped up, and so they had their own little warm little ecosystem going. I think she must have had them in like January or February or something.
Oh, I know if I lived closer to you, I'd have like 85 cats.
I'd definitely be giving you some. I got at least one that wants to come home with you now as soon as you visit. So
The neighbors would see somebody creeping with a little basket, leaving stuff on my doorstep.
we got and we do feed others. The other babies that she's had, they hang around, and grandma feeds them. So we got a
Oh,
clan of cats, and I grew up in a dog world. Like, if you couldn't command it, like, is there value there? And boy, did that lead down some suffering paths right there. Just having them thoughts. And whatever we lend credibility and consent to, like, we're offering the opportunity to take us up on that offer. And pain, suffering should have purpose, and it doesn't necessarily need to be the same thing as pain. And we do get to make these choices. And I like what Lamar says. We say he sees pain as a reminder to love ourselves more. and
yeah.
and and typically, like, absolutely, it is sad that we push ourselves out, like you were talking about earlier, Michelle. Like, you don't have time to be feeling this right now. There's your spirit is spread thin in other places. um and maybe we can't commit to and there should be sufferings. There's different types of it.
Mm-hmm.
One is actually healthy, uh, and those that do it, they don't necessarily call it suffering. So it really makes you, they it's more in the sacrifice
Yeah.
for family, for the family's healthiest future. They'll, strong, a strong family members make sacrifices for those they love,
Mm-hmm.
and in uh, whether it be a mother, a father, saying the things and just grounding a circumstance and recognizing a reality for what it is. And those realities present themselves as suffering for us to
Mm-hmm.
separate our spirits, to sit with them, separate them, because obviously, there's a block, stuff, like we're hitting something and it's like, okay, I'm, like this is not feeling good. My forehead's starting to hurt, like how come I'm not moving forward? Oh, wait a minute. Let me open my eyes a little bit. Like, our eyes are our spirit, they're located in our spirit, you
Yeah.
know, our pineal gland, uh, and just retracting ourselves from whatever circumstance is promoting that unnecessary suffering.
Yeah.
And if we cannot conceive of purpose being facilitated through suffering, then we need to second guess why we're doing that still, and I
Yeah.
I do it myself every time I think about my the past. Like, there I am, suffering, uh but that's not where we belong.
Mm-hmm.
Everything does happen with purpose, uh and sometimes, like, as we do experience this suffering, we do, we don't get the happy bliss end of the stick when it comes to that. um Someone's got to pay the piper. Be strong. You know, the universe, it demands personal integrity, honor, respect for ourselves, and it's expected to extend out, like it is an extension. Uh, the physical is an extension of the spiritual. Um, and if we notice patterns of unnecessary suffering, or cycles that don't want, patterns that say, hey, this is the third time in this so long that this has happened to me. I need to think about, like, I need to think about something, maybe sit down. And that, that's what Chief Sitting Bull was good at. He was good. He was good at sitting down until he had it all worked out. He was not, he wasn't, he wasn't reactionary inappropriately. Um, he responded. He was always interested in responding appropriately as the time was appropriate. Um, and when honor is not, it ain't at the heart of the conversations, and it's, if it ain't lighting the fire for the conversation, and if the integrity's not there, then dump some water on it, pour it out, and like, uh, enjoy that, and say thank you, because saying thank you says, hey, you know what, I'm open to maybe learning something here, so maybe I don't have to go through this again. And even if we haven't got it all quite worked out yet, saying thank you, like the Rev is so good at, uh it's, it's the frequency shifter. It's the fine tuning that says, well, maybe. Like I got, do I want to be thankful? No. But if I'm not, I might just have to go through this again. And I don't want to do that either. And so it just needs to be done in a good way. And honestly, I think if the family unit was able to stay together more strongly than it has been the last few decades. Uh, Spouses supporting each other, and just supporting the children, and when families don't get to stay together, children don't get supported the way that they should. Um, and it's hard when everybody's trying the best they can, and these gaps are still there, uh, no matter what. And picking and choosing our battles, because suffering needs to be sacred. Something good, but it needs to come out of it, or I don't want to go through it.
Yeah.
If I can help heal my family by suffering today, if I choose to suffer today for my family, I'm not going to call it suffering. I'm going to call it a sacrifice. I'm going to call it a sacrifice for the greater good. Because I can do that. I can suffer because I can make a sacrifice with a smile on my face, knowing that something good is being created out because of this. Um, and in our spirit's intuition must be the determining factor on what's worth what, and extend love continuously as much as we can, uh, throughout the process of separating understanding and wisdoms and lessons. The lessons. We gotta learn them. They're not. They are teachers. They're and like happiness does not is not a great. It feels good, but if we want to grow roots, that does include darkness. It does. And that happened to me with Tree. Tree going through my pile drive through my ankle joint. Um, a, any step after has not been easy. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm really grateful that tree went through my ankle joint because it sat me down for 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 a very long time, and because that's what it wanted to do. And it's not done yet. It's got a long way to go. But I tell you what, I will be going out within the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be going out to one of the largest tree stumps in the United States, and I'm going to say thanks for 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 everything it's done. Uh, to lead me back to my spirit, to help me become a better person, uh, to remove me from a commercial environment, and allow me the time to be home and raise my children with love, and no gaps. You know, um, they and I call that a success. So it took everything from me, and it also gave me everything I never would have had any other way at the same time.
That's
Uh,
beautiful.
it
And
is.
that is, and you're pointing out like there is a purpose to suffering.
There should be.
Hmm. And we need to
Because
look for it too.
if we can't find one, that begs the cycle repeat. And what that is and why, like I don't know, but we don't. We want to be we just we need to say whatever words need to be said that says, I'm open to receive, whatever this is. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not in charge. I'm only in charge of myself. Why is everybody, this, that, and the only thing that we are in charge of is ourselves.
Yeah.
And settling into that, that is sacred. That's sacred all in its own.
Right.
Doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. That what anybody else has ever done to us in the past doesn't make us any less sacred.
Mhm.
The fact that we've gone through stuff that you would not wish on your worst enemy, that makes you sacred.
Yeah.
Because it's that's just filled your spirit. It's overflowed your cup. You got something good to share with everything that you love and everything that loves you. Uh,
And you know what, Dina, you were talking about when we were in our staff meeting about singing a song that was so meaningful. That was and I can't remember what it was, and it popped into my head, but it was like I am. What was that song? It was
which one?
talking.
Which one?
I can't.
I've been looking at a few of them here, and
It was so good. It's like what you're just saying right here. Oh my God, what was it called? Shoot, I am
too
so
many come and
sorry.
go. Well, no, and
It totally
that
remind what you just said. It was like, oh my God, it's that song.
I
And
don't know, but there is one. I am gonna say there is one that I do need to sing that is a technically it's a commercial song, but
we don't care.
well, I know, and honestly, like it's I was gonna sing it on a different an episode, but like it wouldn't go away, um, and it's still just everywhere through me, and I so in this one's it's from a movie called Real Steel. It's by Alexi Murdoch. It's called All of My Days. Um,
Oh, you
and,
come
and,
up
and
with the greatest music.
well, it's music. Music offers us an opportunity to change our tune. Music is tune change immediately. Whichever radio, whatever we turn on, like it immediately will shift our tune. And are we going to allow that to be the tune that we want to see, uh, or is it the one that just leads to the eternal wallowing? Because we all got better shit to do. We don't want then we don't want to be there. Um, so I'll do that one, and then there's a couple of other native songs that Lakota songs I want to sing too, but we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I'll do at least one more. I don't know.
Before we go on, I wanted to thank Lamar for his kind words to Diane and I. And my friend TJ's here, and he wrote, "Awesome group," our friend TJ. And I've been reading Sam's wise words, and Lamar just added a lot more wise words up there. And we appreciate each and every one of you here watching it now, and we'll watch later.
Yeah.
High, beautiful energies to you all.
Yep. Thank you. I had, I was putting the chat up so everybody could see the chat, but I had a couple people on another show that I do say, well, we don't like that because everything we say is up there. As Sam was saying, she had chronic fatigue syndrome for years. I have that too. So yeah, we so appreciate you guys. Look at all these wonderful people that we have. Oh,
I
check this out, Lamar.
Yeah, go ahead with that one.
Lamar is saying every part of who we are is an intricate part of the holy temple that is our body, mind, and spirit. Remembering that we're sacred weaves this all together. Suffering is transformed into a divine act. Exactly.
Absolutely. There's a brief uh there's a brief skit on YouTube, and I don't know if I sent that one. I don't. I need to send that to Lamar because that's pretty much it lines up. Uh it's about it in it's about developing our internal heat, and it's not hot per se, but it is but it is basically it's founded in love, and no matter what experience we go through, we've got to be able to laugh at it and separate ourselves from it, so that way that baggage doesn't extend where it doesn't belong inappropriately, you know.
Absolutely.
And it offers opportunity for grace to lead our lives appropriately, um, and I honor that a lot. And yeah, we are temples for spirit, and everything we go through in that way, it builds it up, and uh, that very beautifully said. Good job, bud.
Good job. All right, Dane, are you ready
Yeah,
to rock and roll?
yeah. Let me go.
I want to rock and roll all night and party every day in a spiritual way.
So I don't know if I'm gonna use any instruments with this one, but that's okay.
And you know what? I'm going to put you on spotlight here, Dana.
Uh-oh. Daggone it.
You ready?
I suppose.
Are you going to be mad at me if I do that?
I'll be all right.
His cuteness will be revealed.
His
Go.
sparkles shall sparkle.
Yes.
And I think that'll make it easier to listen to. Okay.
Wow, I can't believe how well the words go in line with everything you said earlier, Michelle. It's pretty amazing. Well, I have been searching all of my day. Many a road, yeah, I've been walking on all of my days, and I've been trying to find what's been in as the days keep turning into night. Well, I have been quietly standing in the shade all of my days. I watch the sky breaking on the promise that we made. All of this rain, and I've been trying to find what's been in my mind as the days keep turning into night. Well, many a night I found myself with no friends standing near. All of my days, I cried aloud and shook my hands, said, "What am I doing here?" All of these days, before I look around me, and my eyes confound me, and it's just too bright. Yeah, as those days keep turning into night. Oh, oh, oh. Now I see clearly it was me I was looking for all of my days. And soon I smile, I know I'll feel this loneliness no more. All of my days, before I look around me, and it seems I find me, and it's coming into sight As the days keep turning into night. I say, as the days keep turning into night. And even breathing feels alright. Even breathing feels alright. Yes, even breathing feels alright. I said, even breathing feels alright. You're sacred. These troubles, these just everything that we go through. It's about seeing ourselves in the mirror of these circumstances, recognizing the sacredness, and knowing that what we say and what we think and what comes through our hearts has the capacity to materialize with our consent, no matter what it is. So do not consent to anything that you know you're not. Because that'll be useless suffering. So we're gonna do a little native song here now, and because we say that suffering and sacrifice has purpose. It needs to have it, or we should not experience it. We don't need to. If there's a lesson, if we don't need that lesson, we don't need to go through it. Um, talke, shame malayo, hey makake jalo, hey jano bakelayo, oh talke, shame malayo, hey makake jalo, hey jano bakelayo, one more. talke say my cock is a low one, I watch a low. Janu pake la ya yo ha ho ya. Oh, I kind of combined a little some things in there, but this is the perfect space to do that.
That was beautiful, Dana. Thank you. Let's all just take that in. Just breathe that beauty, breathe the love of the show, and just breathe it into yourselves. Breathe it into your heart, into your minds, into your bellies. Let it just expand out into your body, down your legs, down into your feet. Just let it start moving down into Mother Earth, connecting you back to that natural state that you are, that divine presence, connected to Mother Earth, to your soul. And then allow yourself to feel that energy expanding upwards, outwards, like the branches of a tree, and just reaching out into the celestial, out of the box, out of the matrix, out into the eternal presence, and just feeling yourself like that sacred tree. Branches to the heavens, roots to the earth, and your sacred self in that center as the tree, as that highway of information from heaven and earth. You are that sacred holy tree, that self aware present presence. It's powerful and beautiful. Just see yourself and feel yourself as God, as a creator, as the holy light, that pure love. Remember who you are. Remember it right now and take it with you everywhere you go. Oh.
Oh,
Mm.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys for being here.
Yes,
So
yes, very much
appreciate it.
so.
Thank you, Rev. Thank you, Dana, for putting up with me. And to all of you that are here, we just so appreciate you. And, let people know that we're here. Share our videos with your friends. Make sure you subscribe. There we go. Kitty, 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 brawl.
There one.
Oh, it's so cute. I can't stand it. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being you.
Yes.
We love you so much. And we'll see you next month. We don't know what we're going to be talking on, but we'll let you know as soon as we do.
Much love.
Bye bye.
Beautiful energies.
Hmm.
Bye.
Thank you.
Keep sparkling.